What would that be?
X-Men 97. Oh, it's so peak. It's fucking fire, bruv. I was giggling like a school child watching them two episodes last night. They are so elite.
It was very good.
The slight variation of the theme tune is obviously not as iconic as the original because the original is ingrained in our childhood. Still amazing. The
Still hit the same.
recreation of the title
Intro.
sequence, but in the new animation style. Oh, I love it so much. It's
and
so,
the like
so
tweaks. Good. Like obviously they've tweaked it and stuff. The thing that I saw online, because obviously everyone's like, Rogue's flat.
Yeah.
Sag. They've ruined our goddess Rogue. And then there's a clip in the title sequence when she's flipping the Sentinel over and someone freeze framed it as she's like leaping forward and she's like straddle pose and everyone's like, no, they're giving us new poses.
So here's the thing that I found really funny about that. Like the one screenshot they always use is from the scene with Apocalypse where she's on her side. But there are so many scenes in the original show where she is really flat. It's just that is like the iconic image from the show. And they saw another still from the new version where she was flat, like she was most of the time in the original show. It was just so funny, people getting bent out of shape about that. Let's just be completely clear. The X-Men are huge sluts. They just are. Like, did you see what Gambit was wearing while making breakfast? What is that man doing walking around in a crop top?
Man doesn't care. Man. I mean, he also threw an exploding card in the kitchen with everyone around and just didn't give a shit. So,
crazy. That first fight scene.
Yes.
We were so back.
It did feel like just watching like it was back there. It was just like straight back into it.
But it was also better because they were using like 3D animation to make the fight so much more dynamic. It was awesome.
Well, it's
the coolest stuff we've ever seen from Cyclops in any media outside a comic book. Like using the jets to like push himself around and fucking awesome.
See, that was something I was like, obviously I was watching, I was like, this makes sense. But I was like, I don't remember if this was like always a thing.
No, basically never. Because here's the thing, the misconception with his powers is obviously that he shoots lasers, which isn't the case. His eyes are a portal to the punch dimension. It's a concussive blast. So it makes complete sense that he could use it, like he did later in the show, to stop himself from falling, or he could use it to push himself around. It was just so cool to see that used so fluidly and dynamically.
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing with the new animation techniques and abilities now that they have is you can have way more different dynamic camera angles and dynamic camera movements with animated stuff that just allows them to have a lot more fun with fights, like you say.
Yeah.
It was very cool though.
Another cool use of powers when they're in the desert, Storm using her powers to turn the sand into glass.
Yes.
Oh
See,
my god.
Do you know what's funny?
This is what the X-Men should be.
When Cyclops was landing, I was like, in my head, I'm like, I feel like that would glass up, like when, like in sci-fi stuff, when planets get glassed. I was just like, I feel like the sand should turn to glass with his like things, and it just kind of just blew it up the ground. Then Storm, like a few seconds later, actually turns it to glass, and I'm like, oh, okay, I was my brain was in the right place. Just different hero.
So cool. Gambit and Wolverine's like team up move that we saw in the trailer, so good in person. I loved it so much. It was just really cool to see everyone flying about. The dialogue feels as good as ever.
Yeah.
Yes, all the voice actors are like 20 years older now, so their voices are naturally a little bit different. But you can still feel the iconicness of them.
Yeah.
Beast using a thesaurus for every word for no fucking reason is still just so. I love it so much. It feels so good to be back. It was really cool to get Sunspot in the first episode. So that's Roberto, who they saved.
Right.
So that's Sunspot. I didn't twig based on his name, but when at the end of the episode he showed his power off, I was like, wait, is that Sunspot? I googled it and I was right. I felt like such a nerd. That was a proud nerd moment. So that's really cool. Magneto is going to be so interesting throughout this show
Mm.
because it kind of Magneto and Charles have always been two sides of the same coin, and they've respected each other because they know that the other one does genuinely believe in what they want,
Yeah.
and they think they don't completely think the other person's wrong, but they think they're missing a piece.
Yep.
And it's almost like after losing his best friend, Magneto was like, "Right, Charles, I'll try it your way."
Yeah. And I think also
Um,
the fact that like he left him in charge, he's also gone, okay, fine, I give in. You've been pestering me to come to your side. You've basically like he's forced his hand, and he's gone, fine, okay, I will try it. Like you say, I'll try it your way now.
yeah,
We'll see how it goes.
yeah. Um, I genuinely thought they were going to like bait us, and it was going to be like oh, we think okay, Magneto's going to try and be good. Look, he's let himself get
Hmm.
taken in, cool. And then the guy shot Storm, and I was like, okay, cool. He's going to be like, I gave you a fucking chance, and you've already blown it.
Yeah, I
But the
thought he was going
fact
to do
that
the
he
same.
was like, I'm giving you a chance. Do not make me regret this. I was like, oh shit, Magneto redemption arc? Magneto being better? Question mark?
Well, I mean, it's like I was the same when he took them up into lower orbit essentially, and was
Yeah.
just like, I was like, ah, shit, here we go.
Yeah. It's raining judges.
I thought he was, and then I was like, okay, maybe he's not going to do this, but maybe he's going to prove a point and do something to the executioner.
Yeah.
Um, but he didn't, and then I was like, oh shit, he actually is trying. Going to give this a go, and he's doing this in a way that's going to. He knows he's going to gain some trust off the X-Men.
I,
Um,
I I don't completely trust him, which I think is
no,
kind of the point. We
yeah,
are
well, yeah,
aware this is Magneto. We're not supposed to trust him. We should, like the X-Men, be watching him like a fucking hawk. But I'm really curious to see how this develops. My favorite bit though of the two episodes, the
oh.
funniest thing I think I've seen in like a Marvel situation is Jean going, Wolverine, he's here. Wolverine popping his claws, going, "Who, Apocalypse?" And her just going, "No, the baby."
Yeah,
Fucking sent me.
it was just like
So funny.
as soon as you could just tell, it was like fully expected. It was like full aggro mode, like, oh shit, someone's here to break in. I get to have a fight. Let's go. Because he obviously wasn't allowed to go to the courthouse. And then he's like, no, the baby's here. And he's like, wait, no, that's an adult thing. I don't want to have to deal with this.
The sheer panic in his eyes is like, "Oh, you want me to fight like the god of mutants? Yeah, no worries. A baby? What do you
I don't know.
mean?"
I don't know how to deal with these. And then
And
him
also,
driving down the street and just going on the pavement and just being like, not a care in the world.
yeah,
And then
so
almost,
good.
and then threatening the doctor because the doctor wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know it's an allegory for anything. If a doctor who's like, "No, I'm not gonna help you because you're different," not a good doctor. I have no issue with that. Rogue coming in, and again, yes, Rogue has very scary and destructive powers,
Hmm.
but getting to see her use them for good, and
Hmm.
like Jean and Scott being like, "No, we trust you to deliver the baby. You've got this." She's like, "Right," and then the way the nurses like respected her, the way she said, "Get an IV going," it's like, "Oh, she knows. She a doctor now."
Yeah, they just watched it and then it was like the tone of voice shift and they were like, okay, yes. Not going to question this. There's a guy there with really sharp claws behind you.
Exactly. It was really cool to see Morph and Wolverine's friendship again. Really, really
Hmm.
nice to see because Morph's like he's that shit cam best friend who takes the piss out of you constantly but does actually care. Um, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I'm
I enjoyed
really
him
curious to see what other
constantly.
characters we get.
Yeah, I enjoyed him constantly picking like pretty important characters to pretend to be at like
Yeah,
what felt like the worst moments to do it.
yeah. Now I've never claimed to be great with X-Men lore. In fact, I've been very clear that I'm not phenomenal with it.
Hmm.
So Nathaniel Summers, I'm 99% sure is Cable. So that's who's just been born, Cable. You got to remember Cable's a
Oh,
time
shit.
traveler, which
Yeah.
is why we see the older version of him, but he's
Yeah.
travelled back from the future. But I'm pretty sure, although his parents are Jean Grey and Cyclops, his mum is actually a clone of Jean Grey. So, like,
Well, end of episode
yeah.
2.
So it's not that crazy. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, a clone of Jean. I think they're just kind of pretty accurately adapting.
Yeah, they're just kind of making it out that it was under their note, like it was a hidden thing that happened.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what it was because I'm not sure if you will remember, but people who've gone back and watched the original X-Men cartoon will
Yeah,
remember one of the storylines they adapted was Mr. Sinister trying to steal the genetics of Jean and Scott to
right.
force them to have a baby because he believes that baby is essentially like mutant Jesus.
Got you.
So I can't remember if he's like involved in this.
Wouldn't surprise me
Um,
then. Or if at least in this case, he might be.
yeah,
They may tie it
I'm just
in.
trying to remember. So yeah, so I believe this is going to be Madeline Pryor, one of these two, Jean Greys, and she's a Jean Grey clone.
Okay.
Um, I'm just trying to remember exactly how it goes together, but I'm so excited for this. The animation is sick. The fight scenes have been phenomenally put together.
Mm.
They're being really creative with the characters' powers, which is sometimes a stumbling block of these kinds of shows.
Yeah.
But fortunately for them, the X-Men have always had the most like out there powers.
Mm.
So it gives them a lot more fun to have. If my girl Storm doesn't get her powers back ASAP, I'm gonna start a riot because Storm is the fucking goat.
No, I
The
reckon she
goat.
will.
She absolutely has to. I don't want to live in a world without Storm in the X-Men. I
Though,
assume this is like, I mean, the original X-Men cartoon did adapt a lot of like comic book storylines at the time because it was back in the 90s when you weren't really allowed to just make stuff up for a cartoon.
yeah.
And it looks like with Nathan Summers and the clone, maybe they're doing that again. So maybe this is an adaptation of a storyline where Storm lost her powers. And if that is the case, that does mean Storm will get her powers back. But I don't want to have to go too much longer because the way Storm uses her powers and talks with that like goddess voice while she's doing it, fucking awesome.
Yeah, it
It's
was
so
very cool. Also, I fully vibe with the Mohawk Storm that we now have.
such a sick look. And it was also really cool to hear the Sentinels refer to her as an Omega level threat.
Yes, I picked
That
up
was
on that.
really cool. Yeah, really, really cool.
I have to say, when the Sentinels showed up, it was like a nostalgia hit because obviously we ended up getting them in one film, the Sentinels.
Yeah, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah, but it was like
But they weren't even like a main part of the film.
no,
They were like,
but I have this
they
like
were the
obviously
concern of the film.
they were in the Deadpool Wolverine game.
Yeah.
And I have like that strong memory of the Sentinels being like this big X-Men threat. And then obviously the cartoons. And it was like as soon as they're back, I'm like, oh, now I'm getting the nostalgia hit properly of the intro music, and then we're getting Sentinels fighting them. This is like, okay. It was very cool.
I hope we get some more X-Men as well. Just give me everyone. I don't care if it's seen as jangly keys and fan service. This entire show is fan service. They had like 2 rules when, like Kevin Feige had 2 rules before greenlighting this project. He was like, we get the original voice actors back, and we make sure we're gonna do it properly and like tell good stories.
Well, I mean, now they've got the island, right? And it's gonna be part of the UN. Gives them a free excuse to just have a moment on like a clip that's on the island, and it's like, oh look, there's some more mutants in the background that everybody knows.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's really, really cool what we've seen so far. The action feels elite. The storytelling is tonally very similar to the original. So once you've got that, which is the iconic storytelling, matched with their ability to do the action scenes so much better, and this obsession they seem to have already in the first 2 episodes of using the powers in the coolest ways, this could be an all-timer.
I mean, Morph has already essentially given us multiple X-Men and mutants just purely by using their powers in many different ways, which I thought was very cool.
I'm loving it so much. this is the action in these first 2 episodes is
Mm.
the gold standard. Stop just going, how would this fight happen? And instead go, what is the coolest fucking thing I can squeeze into this fight? Because let's be
Yeah.
honest, Storm didn't need to turn the desert into glass and use the glass shards as a weapon.
No.
She didn't need to do that. But would it have been anywhere near as cool if she didn't? No.
Well, it's like Beast didn't need to take over a Sentinel's body, but the way he did that as well was really funny and cool.
Exactly.
And the way he got knocked out of it also was very funny.
Yeah. Did Gambit need to fucking turn Wolverine into a little mini nuke? No. Are we glad he did? Yes. This is all I want this entire action to be. Just I want it to feel like every time there was the next fight scene was getting scripted, they were like, wait, no, we have to do something more awesome than last time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cool. I love it so much.
It was very good, and it's good to be back.
Also, I love the slight little change they've made to how they show off Magneto's powers. So they used to just go for like the like ray gun almost looking effect. And I like instead now when he's moving stuff, they just like highlight the metal thing he's moving with a little glow.
They also changed the color of. I feel like he was very
in
red.
The comics.
Okay.
Oh, you mean his suit?
Well, no, I know his suit was
redesigned.
Yeah, and I also just feel like maybe it's just me remembering more of his suit, but he was like very red color coded.
Yeah,
with his powers as well.
They've made him a bit purpley, but his power was always yellowy.
Oh, okay.
They've made it a bit more glowing yellow instead of a muted yellow.
Right.
But really, really cool. All of the slight art, like stylistic changes they've made, I think are very worthy of the decision.
Oh yeah.
I just want more of it. This is, and they've already said like season 2 of this is already written and greenlit.
Nice.
And they are ready to go on a 3rd season if this does well.
And I feel like it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they think there's stories to tell there, why the fuck wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You had LeBron James tweeting out going, I used to love this show.
I saw that. He's like, how do I watch it? Which I also thought was wild. How do you not know Disney Plus is a thing? Yeah. Like, come on, bro.
But yeah, I like that. Just like, when was the last time a massive superstar like that was tweeting out about a Marvel project, let alone a Marvel animated TV show?
How much do you want to bet they now just like have him appear in season 2? Because of that tweet, they're like, yo, we need to get just, even if it's him on a TV or something.
I mean, what year did LeBron James join the NFL? It was like 2001?
They could have him voice like a young, just on a basketball court somewhere.
2003 was his NBA debut. So season 6 of X-Men 97, they could have him in. They could just have a little TV showing the NBA draft of where he gets drafted. That'd be cool. I've got a feeling Professor X doesn't stay dead. I'm curious to see how they bring him back and when. I'm excited for more of this clone saga. Bearing in mind the X-Men have met Cable, I'm interested to see if and when they find out that Nathan becomes Cable.
When they put it together.
Yeah, I want to know if Mr. Sinister's involved. I want to know if we're going to get Sunspot joining the X-Men team or if that was just like a little cameo. And I want to know why Magneto is dressed so horny. These are the big questions going into next week.
Because it's 2023 and Rogue's off the table, Magneto's on.
I saw a still grabbed from the show. And it's like, you know, like the meme that was going around a while ago. You better not be, and then I think the one for this was, you better not be cunty Magneto with childbearing hips when I get there, and it's like my dumbass, and then it's just a picture of him like lent on the desk.
Oh dear!
So funny, so funny.
Dear.
There is, you can tell, like forgetting all of like the other bullshit about this is woke and all that rubbish. Purely on the funny side of it, how did anyone who like had friends who were like obsessed with the X-Men growing up not twig that their friend might be maybe not traditional in either like being neurotypical or maybe gay, or maybe trans or something. Because the X-Men really are just we have a character for everyone. Do you feel alone in this world? Here is a character. You are no longer alone. And that's what I love about them. They're there for everyone.
Yeah, this is true.